I don't know what the legislature might do, but this is completely in legal authority for myself or any mayor to take this kind of an action.
Salt Lake City Mayor Erin Mendenhall talked about her emergency mask mandate for students enacted just before the new school year, but some state lawmakers say they're going to punish her for it. That's Robert Gerke's take anyway on the mayor's action.
And he joins us via Zoom to talk about it. Punishment, what are you hearing from lawmakers that make you reach that decision?
Good morning, guys. The immediate reaction from some of the lawmakers, including the majority whip, the House Majority Whip, Mike Schultz, is that they're frustrated by this. That they don't think she has the authority to do this. They think she's overstepping her bounds, and they talk about repercussions for officials who overstep abuse their power, is how they're characterizing it. And so, we've seen this before with the legislature, unfortunately, when the mayor, typically the Salt Lake mayor, does something that they don't like, there's payback for it. And so, we won't see that until the legislative session in January, which is frankly just around the corner. But you can bet that there's going to be some attempt to try to rein in her these mayoral powers to keep this from happening again, put them more under the boot of the legislature, which is unfortunate because, as I wrote in my piece, I really think it was the right decision, and it's a decision that was driven by local control and local factors. I think the mayor's constituents want this in place, the majority of them, and I think it's good from a health and safety standpoint.
Now, in your piece, you write a couple of things about why you think they're doing this, and it looks like you're thinking that, they're thin-skinned, they don't like having their power questioned, period, a couple of things you wrote, and also that because she's a woman, basically. How did you get to that? When we had Rebecca Lockhart, who was Speaker of the House, years ago, a woman. We've got a woman who's Speaker of the House and, the National Speaker of the House as well. So, what do you think it really is here?
That there's mask mandates in Grant County and Summit County, and they're fine with those, they say, because they went through the normal process. But as the mayor laid out, there is a process in place for mayors to do this, and she utilized that process. As she has, as I pointed out in my piece, she's utilized this process to issue emergency orders 20 times during the course of the pandemic. 19 of them for COVID, one of them to impose a curfew after the protests last summer. And so this is an authority that is well established in state law, and they've never griped about it before. They've never batted an eye about it before. But this time, because it's masks, because masks are so politicized, and by the way, I think that's really unfortunate, and I would prefer not to be politicizing them even more. But because they've become so politicized, I think they sense, the legislature senses that this is something their base is concerned about, and it's something that they have a knee-jerk reaction to, pushing back against.
So you do think it's that they have an axe to grind somewhere because it's a mayor, somebody who's lesser, and because it's a woman, and because of, how it is right now, political.
Yeah, it is. It's very political, and we've seen this time and again in these meetings, these school board meetings, the county council meetings, where the same group of people shows up every time, says the same things. Most of it is not true about the ineffectiveness of masks and the harm that it causes children, and they don't. And then the politicians ignore the science, and the science is pretty clear right now. We're in a pretty perilous place as we're entering the school year because we have 7.5 times as many cases among young people as we had when we started the school year last year. And last year, if you remember, we had masks in place, we had distancing in place, we had staggered schedules, hybrid schedules, remote learning, all of these things that we had last year that we don't have this year. And we saw cases more than double last year in the first month of the year. If we have cases double from this point where we're 7.5 times as many cases among these young people, we're going to have a real problem because our hospitals, as you guys have reported again and again, and we hear from the doctors again and again, they're on the breaking point. They're at their maximum capacity. Some are past their maximum capacity. And so every student that we can keep from spreading this disease, infecting somebody else who's going to maybe end up in the hospital is beneficial, not just to the hospitals, but to people who have to go be treated there. And so, I think this mask mandate makes good common sense. The medical providers, the science experts have strongly recommended that we do this, and I think the mayor was right to do it. And I think the legislature is wrong for then, making these threats, rattling these sabers that they're going to have, that there's going to be retribution down the road.
All right. Well, you've definitely got an opinion. And I think that a lot of people share that opinion as well. We want to make it clear that Robert is an editorial writer as well. So always engaging, Robert. We appreciate it. And I think one thing that, as you point out, a lot of people have to realize that this is about keeping people out of the hospitals, you know, and trying to mitigate that as much as possible. So
Get as sick. They do get sick. They don't get as
Yeah.
sick, but they do spread the disease. And so we need to try to control that to the extent we can. But yeah, thank you guys.
all right. Always
right,
good to
always
talk to you. Thanks a lot, Robert.